Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Oh, yeah, nice. Okay, so in this image, people are... Okay, so they're surrounded by 4 kids. They're wearing ribbons on their necks. They're all wearing, I guess it looks like they're gis? They are gis?
Kimonos. Yep.
Kimonos, yeah. Is this in Hong Kong or is this outside of Hong Kong?
Yeah, this is in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I could just see somebody wearing a mask. So, and then they're wearing AFG. Is that something?
So this was the latest jiu-jitsu kids competition. Jiu-jitsu competition
in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong. That I took my students to.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's dive into your jiu-jitsu story, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How should we start this? You want to talk about the role of you being a teacher to kids? Because that's how I've seen. I haven't seen you teach to older than, say, 16. Maybe you have. But I've seen you with young kids. Why? Why do you do that?
It's just one of those things I fell into. You know, I've always... For my jiu-jitsu journey, it started off as something to kind of balance me out and give me that fill the gap. And I was a competitor. You know, I did the world champs, done world, Abu Dhabi stuff, won that.
Rugby or jiu-jitsu?
No, jiu-jitsu.
Okay, wow.
Oh, okay. Jiu-jitsu, right?
Okay, yeah, no, yeah. No, I thought you sorry, I thought you were doing rugby and then jiu-jitsu was like a compliment. But no, jiu-jitsu, got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
Yeah, so after my rugby, I kind of still had that drive, that hunger to need to, just needed to connect and so yeah, it filled the gap and I went into it, I ran a gym in Central.
Oh, wow.
And it started off as a boxing gym, then a personal training, weights, and then I opened a jiu-jitsu floor.
Okay.
So my friend introduced me to it, loved it. Then I ended up opening my own little dojo, and I went through various different black belts, and I got into competition pretty full on, as you would, just having it right there every day, and trained and won Abu Dhabi as a purple belt, as a blue belt. I got 3rd in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, and my gym, I wasn't really teaching because I had my black belt that was there doing all the teaching. Then I kind of fell out with my black belt, and then I kind of changed. I closed that gym and then built a bigger gym. But jiu-jitsu wasn't a part of it. It was just boxing and Muay Thai and personal training. So then it started to grow again within me. Essentially, I couldn't go back. I didn't really go back and train with my old professor. So then it just started off with me just naturally rolling with friends' kids. And then they're like, oh, you want to teach them? So, yeah, sure. So I started 1 or 2 kids just teaching. And I wasn't... it was just kind of something little, 1-2 classes a week, and it wasn't that big because Central, there's a lot of gyms and I wasn't really pushing it. And then when I moved out here to Sai Kung, I closed all my gym in Central, came to Sai Kung, and I was taking a different path, doing different stuff, and then just saw that, the kids, there's just so many kids here. And I just thought, okay, well, I'll just give it a go. So, and it's really flourished. Yeah.
So talking about, and speaking of energy and seeing, and okay, so I've got a bit confused. I'm a bit confused. So you were a black belt, but now you're a brown belt?
No. I've been a brown belt. I don't know, 10 years.
Okay.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
So the people that were white belts when I was brown belt are now black belts. Yeah. Just to say that.
Okay. Well, it's okay. So coming from the world of Muay Thai and just having started Jiu-Jitsu maybe a year and a half ago, there seems to be a real type I seem to fall into who would podcast and do Jiu-Jitsu. That seems to be a type of guy who is like that. And what I've seen since is that some people in their Jiu-Jitsu become black belts super fast. They just go bam, 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 bam. They chase the belts, and other people takes them forever, even though they're super competent, super great, and whatever. They just so in a way, it's all like, who knows where you are to sort of land in that. So, in terms of your students, because you take them to competitions, so how old or what is the most that you've had a student train with you?
The longest?
Yeah, the longest in terms of their accomplishment. I mean, if I were training with you for 10 years, I'd probably still be a white belt. But maybe a kid who's like super hungry, he'll become a blue belt within like a year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of take it slow. I mean, my highest ranking kid is a yellow belt.
Okay.
Which is just past grey belt. And he's only been doing, 2 years? I mean, I've only been coaching 2 years.
Okay.
3 years.
Right.
Yeah. And my kids do really well. I've basically taken this group of Saikung rebels or kids, taken them, and we've just blown Kowloon Jiu-Jitsu out of the park. We've just completely dominated all these competitions.
Nice.
With numbers.
Yeah.
And achievements.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been good.
Okay, so I get the feeling that you're philosophical, thoughtful about, sports but also the meditative side and personal health side. So how does Jiu-Jitsu tick boxes that Muay Thai doesn't, or that rugby doesn't, or that something else doesn't? Or does it? Or is it just is it basically the same?
I think it's just the timing that it's in my life at the moment. Going from an athlete, competitor, now into as a coach, it really offers so much for me as a person right now. Constantly learning and not having these expectations. I think a lot of coaches have their own egos attached to their coaching, and I try and detach from all of that, and when I do kind of have these moments of you kids need to, and I'm learning about myself.
Yep, of course.
Every time.
Yeah.
Like my son's just started jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay.
It's you're learning so much about yourself. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
And I'm always learning, and I'm always want to offer them a better service, and I want them to all be champions, but I know that not all of them are going to be champions.
Of course.
And they're only turning up because they just love.
Yeah.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love having fun, whether they're actually learning techniques or they're just having fun. It's getting that balance, and I think I sense it. I feel the way I think, my emotions around what I'm going through when I'm coaching, when I'm after classes, when I coach without parents there.
Yeah.
That and not parents there. It's all different, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So how I'm approaching every class and every age group and different characters.
Yep.
And really understanding the dynamics of different kids and their learning abilities and how they learn. So it's all. It's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. Absolutely. Okay, I don't know. Should we wait? We'll wait for this truck to go by. You can do it. The episode I recorded last week, we had helicopters bombing because we recorded the ferry piers. So there's helicopters and ferries, and it was just like, nah. Okay, so in my professional self for 15 years, I really specialized in really diving and looking at what is this thing, what is service, as a thing, and not customer service, but what is a service? And one of the things so I got an MBA because my client and I deconstructed the MBA mindset to say, well, why is it different from service? Like, what makes it so different? And the biggest difference is that, on a Tesla production line, you have these incredibly sophisticated robots who are able to make these unbelievable parts. But believe it or not, that's not really complex, because whenever there's a difficulty, what you do is you break it up until it's very simplified, right? Whereas if you have a diner and you have to serve breakfast to people, because it's people to people, anything can happen. It's super dynamic. It's super complex. So in jiu-jitsu, what you learn the hard way is that it's such a rich language, and there's so many ways of moving and expressing yourself, and it changes depending on body type and who you're with and all these different factors. And in a way, when you're describing teaching, like, it's like the character of the person, the physicality of the person, what you bring to the table, or their parents in the room. Like, it's so dynamic, it's so complex. Yeah, so why don't you talk about how is dealing with that complexity on an intellectual level going to help you in your jiu-jitsu game? Mm-hmm. I know this question may be confused. Again, sorry.
I mean, I need to simplify and make it fun for the kids.
Okay.
And that's the exact opposite of what I went through as a competitor. I looked at everything, I have to do the hard way, and it's just repetition and just work hard. There's no fun in it, right? And so the way I looked at jiu-jitsu was completely different as a competitor versus a coach.
Right.
It's filling a lot of gaps in my jiu-jitsu mindset.
Do they have to, by definition, live separately? Like, in order to be a great competitor, do you have to be that kind of person versus being a coach? Or could you be an incredible competitor and not be so bogged down?
I think as a competitor, you have to be truly selfish.
Okay.
Everything has to be wrapped around your ego.
Okay.
Right? And that doesn't make a good coach.
No, right, of course. One of the things that I love so much about Muay Thai and training in Thailand is that people are laughing and are enjoying themselves. You still work out super hard, and it's like, the one thing that, maybe it's because of the Buddhism or whatever, I never felt alienated by competitors or by coaches or whatever, by egos at all. Mm-hmm. I never felt that in the room. When I went to Canada and I was training in Vancouver, and I've talked about this before, it's like in jiu-jitsu, what I really was shocked by was how much ego was in the room. Mm-hmm. You know, like black belts having such a chip on their shoulders. Mm-hmm. Is that a BJJ thing or is it a Vancouver thing?
I think when you're so far away from the base and the culture of a martial art, that's what you get, right? You learn Muay Thai or the lineage from a guy with a massive ego who's learnt it from right? But when you're in Thailand, it's way of life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When I went to Brazil, it was like, acai, it's
You trained in Brazil?
Yep, Brazil.
Amazing.
You know, and you live Brazil. It's jiu-jitsu's life. Yep. That's their whole philosophy. And same within Thailand. It's a different feeling. Yeah. Where here, I learned jiu-jitsu from an egotistical black belt, and it was all about him, and that's how I saw it.
Ah, okay.
Right? And that's how you experience it. It's like, this is the way.
I guess it's the way, yeah.
I got to train like I'm going to kill someone every time I'm on the mats. Yeah. Right? So it's you're just a part of your professor. And I think that's the issue that you have with when you go to these Western places. It's you get a lot of these egos.
Right. Although Brazil is the West still.
Well, yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to fucking do with the Brazilian? That's great. So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.